diving deep, deep into the source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need. Diving deep, deep into the source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need. Diving deep, deep into the source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need. Diving deep, deep into the source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need. Diving deep, deep into the source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need. Source, bringing love so we can release that which we no longer need.
Aloha. Good evening. This is Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, with Spiritual Wings Productions on Blog Talk Radio and free conference call and YouTube, establishing and maintaining right relationships in the human body. Aloha and welcome to tonight's Intimacy, Tantra, and Relationships Psychically Fulfilled show. Tonight we're talking about daddy issues, intimacy versus control, and there's all kinds of versions of this. But tonight we have Maha Dakini Lorae all the way out of San Francisco. Aloha, Maha Dakini Lorae.
Aloha, Andrew.
and thank you for being here. Just to let you know, Andrew Aloha, myself, and I, and co-host Maha Dakini Lorae, welcome you to the Intimacy, Tantra, and Relationships Psychically Field Show. This online Tantra session is filled with spice, nice, and everything right. Aloha is a Tantra practitioner for several years now, while Maha Dakini Lorae out of San Francisco is a sacred sexuality educator as well as a certified Tantra counselor and Tantra healer. Each month, Aloha, myself, and I, and Maha Dakini Lorae, and at times other guests, discuss relationships pertaining to couples, partners, lovers, and significant others from a tantric and psychic point of view. Join us for an incredibly interesting show filled with relationships, spiritually, sensually, intimacy, healing, sex, and more, and so forth. And just to let you know, Maha Dakini Lorae is a natural teacher whose caring presence will guide you on a journey that integrates ancient Eastern esoteric practices with discoveries in Western medicine and science. She has developed a unique approach to healing and empowering others. She knows her subject intimately and listens mindfully and thoughtfully to each individual. Her teaching style is dynamic and intuitive, integrative experience in yoga, metaphysics, and personal growth. Maha Dakini Lorae is a certified Tantra counselor and Tantra healer, receiving Dakini and sexual healing training from Dr. Corinna Clark and Carla Tarantola and Deborah Anapol, doctor or PhD, and recently became a certified mind sound teacher. She's a graduate of Margot Nangiol's Guidance and Tantra Training Program, and she's also a current member of the American Association of Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Club, as well as a charter member of the ASEP, the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals, and regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep current with the latest research and information on the realm of mind, body, and spirit. For more on Maha Dakini Lorae, you can go to mahadakini.com and check her out there. Andrew Aloha, myself, and I is the executive producer of Spiritual Wellness Productions, whose mission, goal, purpose is to establish and maintain right relationships through human values, or to exemplify to others right, healthy relations with others as well as with ourselves. He, me, they, it, all of us, all the above, has been counseling, coaching, mentoring for over 15 years. The astrology readings we do are a Western esoteric style of tradition. Western astrology readings are more personality or low ego-based style, while the esoteric readings are more a soul or true life purpose style. With the date for the latter being psychically derived, past, present, future are covered in both styles, while the whole reading is done with a psychic intuitive emphasis as well as with tarot cards. I do want to give a big aloha to all of our underwriters that help make the show happen from week, month to month, year to year, beginning with a 90-day Ascension journey at www.90dayascensionjourney.com. When you sign up for the 90-day Ascension journey, you will be facilitated with defining and redefining your soul true life purpose. You will be assisted with finding out what Ascension means to you. On this journey, you will be provided with tools, techniques, and assistance to empower you to connect and reconnect with your soul, yourself, your emotions and feelings in your mind, body, and spirit. Through a universal soul-centered process, you will be going through a lifelong transformation that will allow you to move forward with your endeavors and never look back if you dare. And just to let you know, I did put together the book version of this to supplement this journey, this mentoring program. And if you want to go to Kindle.com, you can actually purchase it for 99 cents, or you can purchase it through Amazon.com or on spiritualwellnessproductions.com or on 90dayascensionjourney.com as well. Yeah, we also have a Novite, which is a French word, at www.spiritualimageproductions.novite.com, and ANOVITE, with over 25,000 scientific papers published on colostrum, a 90-day guarantee, and winner of the Healthy and Living People's Choice Award twice over. And Novite focuses on helping people with weight loss, anti-aging, heart disease, diabetes, depression, high blood pressure, asthma, allergies, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, gout, lupus, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, cancer, ulcers, the polio virus, chronic infections, digestive disorders, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disease, thymus gland, mental clarity, maintenance and protection of the immune system, and synthesis and repair of RNA, DNA, much, much more. And then we have Maha Dakini Lorae, www.mahadakini.com. Maha Dakini Lorae's life has been a personal journey exploring sexuality and spirituality for over 20 years. She's a certified Tantra counselor and Tantra healer and a certified mind sound teacher. Maha Dakini Lorae is also a graduate of Margot and year-long Skydance Tantra Facilitator Training Program, as well as a current member of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Club, and a charter member of the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals. She regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep current with the latest research and information on sexual education. And finally, we do have the 2018 MUFON Symposium at www.mufonsymposium.com. MUFON is the oldest and largest civilian UFO investigative organization in the United States, with over 4,000 members worldwide in 43 countries and in all 50 states. MUFON has also 500 certified field investigators deployed worldwide, including Andrew, Aloha, myself, and I. This year's 2018 MUFON Symposium will be held at the Crown Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, from the 27th through the 29th of July, with its theme being UFOs, extraterrestrials, and the future of humanity. There will be various speakers from all over the country, probably from all over the world, presenting at this event. Register now at the symposium website. See you there soon. And if you do happen to see me there, give me a big 5 high and let me know that you're there, and at least let me say hi. So finally, we're back to the Intimacy, Function, and Relationship Psychically Flow Show. And just to let you know, tonight's show came about because I don't know, I was doing some research, I was doing some stuff and some surfing, and all of a sudden I came across a video by Sam Isadora, who was last year that she moved on or transitioned.
Yes, around this time of year she decided to depart the earth by herself, meaning she committed suicide. And it was a big controversy in the Tantra community, and I read a few things from people, but I knew of her. I never met her, but she was carrying a lot of trauma herself, and I don't know if she worked really cleanly by, that she would take on other people's trauma to add to hers, and if it just became too much of a burden, I don't know. So,
I don't
it'd
know.
be interesting to hear what you have to say about her, what she says about her daddy issues.
Yeah, well, I suspect that she had some daddy issues, and I don't think just her. I think probably the whole populace of the world has daddy issues at some level or another, and we're just kind of focusing, on the more I don't know, acute type. I think is a good word, phraseology to use. Anyhow, I came across a video that by Sam Isadora that was titled "Daddy Issues: Intimacy versus Control," and I think that was well put in that I think that's kind of the battle that seems to be going on with all this. So Maha Dakini Lorae, what's your definition of daddy issues? I guess we can start there, and then we'll go into further and deeper into all of it. Go ahead.
Well, let's preface this that I am not a trained therapist or psychiatrist or someone who doesn't have deep insight into the psychological mind issues. So this is just my opinion, and we're here to talk in general. So it's my medical disclaimer.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to put that out there, and I forgot to do that. But that goes for both of us. Neither of us are licensed physicians or therapists or lawyers or attorneys or anything like that. So this is all for your personal benefit, for your personal education, for entertainment, if anything else. And that's the size it goes with. But we're just talking out loud, What is it that these people say about daddy issues? What's their definition? What's your definition? And what are they doing about it? So go ahead, wherever you want to start, Lorae.
Well, I guess my thought would be is that it has a negative connotation when you're talking about daddy issues. It means that psychologically, somewhere in your developmental process, the male caregiver wasn't nurturing enough, wasn't engaged enough, wasn't interactive enough, and somehow the pieces that a young person needs, a child, a baby, adolescent, needs certain role modeling in order to become an actualized, healthy adult. And so it's kind of one of those negative perpetuating gifts. Well, if your father or mother wasn't a good role model, I would very much bet that their parents weren't very good role models, and so then you're not given any kind of information of how to be a good parent, human being, etc. So it's unless you want to break that chain, break the cycle, and you start to do internal work, which is maybe meditation, interspiritual work, therapy, counseling, that kind of thing, in order to deal with those unmet needs that you have growing up that weren't, like I said, fulfilled. So that's kind of what I would say maybe daddy issues and as well as mommy issues are. It has this psychological impact on us because of the, who we had as caregivers. And the daddy couldn't, if your father was absent, there could have been an uncle. It could have been, or, that could be the issue. Your father was never there, or he's there, but he was never really there for you. He's present physically, but emotionally, psychically, he's not present. And so you're not given a way to understand interaction between a young boy and his father, or a young girl and her father, and have that need of love and acceptance and nurturing and care and support taking place for you as you progress through your life.
Got it.
So is that what she was talking about, or is that, am I kind of off the track?
It's more elaborate than that. In my research of doing this, because I went over and I listened to the video that Psalm Isadora put forward.
Well, I wish you would have sent me the link so I could have listened to it. Then you'd be more or less on the same page.
Well, anyhow, I ran across, and literally we could do 2 or 3 shows on this. There's so much information out there, and there was a lot of videos. I was just kind of first of all, I want to applaud the women out there. A lot of these young women, even though they weren't completely definitive about all this, they still had a voice. They still voiced themselves. They still made themselves vulnerable, allowed themselves to be vulnerable, and put themselves out there and lay their emotions and feelings on the line. And I was very thankful and appreciative that they were willing to do that because they were at least willing to express themselves and say, hey, there's a problem here. I don't appreciate. This is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I grew up, blah, blah, blah. In fact, there was a woman by Yanni Red. Do you know who that is at all?
No.
You don't? She's a model. I believe she's a big person model type of thing. And I just got done listening to her video, and even though she wasn't clear about all the stuff around daddy issues, she told her story, and she really laid it on the line, and I believe that through all her processing, that she was able to overcome a lot of that what she called a father complex, labeled by Freud And then also, let me see, by Jung, it was labeled as the Electra complex. So now daddy issues refer to something of a slang term for the idea of the Electra complex or Bernfield factor, while Freud developed the term Oedipal complex, the Electra complex, which was pioneered by Carl Jung. Freud continued to use Oedipal complex to refer to the idea of a child idealizing the different gender parent to the point of sexual desire and a desire, at least in part, to get rid of the same-sex parent. Such behavior, when exhibited by females, was a desire to become pregnant by the father and kill the mother, to alternatively evoke the idea that women entering puberty suffered from penis envy, the failure to have a phallus. There is a lot of debate on whether such daddy issues truly exist, and much more debate on the Oedipal complex as a whole. Young girls may identify more with their mothers than fathers, but some may anyhow. This may be culturally predetermined, or it's amazing how all these people write. And I mean, you go to all the newspapers, all these places, all the magazines, and it's beyond me how they can get away with all this jargon that they put out there, which is just a bunch of trash. But because of the way they're writing, not necessarily because of the content, their writing skills are so smooth. But
so let me throw something in. It's really funny about how, there's supposedly science, and when you want to validate, something, they have all these criteria, and you set up double-blind studies, and you have people taking a placebo, and you have a control group, and yada, yada, yada. Psychology is not a science like that can be validated. So I kind of, when you're reading that, and I heard of Freud, I've never studied Freud. I know about Jung. I've never studied much about his stuff either. But some of these things I would just go, where is he pulling this out of? Where is his criteria? Where is where is the scientific evidence? But then you have all of these people that train, that buy into it, and I'm just going, where is the proof? Show me the proof. And I this is where my if I wish I was intuitive, or maybe you could tune in and go, psychically, is there real spiritual truth behind Freud's thought of the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex? That all girls have penis envy and all little boys want to have, sex with their mommy.
Well, okay, so I don't think that first of all, psychology is a science. It's considered a science because you can measure it on various levels.
No, you cannot. You can do studies, but it's not I wouldn't say that it's a science like a XYZ kind of like, X equals Y equals Z. It's not like a math problem. People are unpredictable, and you can't judge anyone across the board.
I agree with you that it's not an exact science, and I hear you 100%. And a lot of Freud's theories have been substantiated. A lot of them have been thrown out the door. He's just like anybody else. He's just like everybody else that has daddy issues. He had daddy issues too. Everybody does, and to some extent or another. It's just that some of them are more pronounced than others. That's all. So that particular information I got from an article that says, what are daddy issues? WiseGreek.org is the website. This other website, AskMen.com, defines daddy issues. Everything you need to know about daddy issues, are daddy issues a real thing? We looked into it, and this is at AskMen.com. Daddy issues is a phrase you'll hear thrown out around with abandon these days, whenever a woman dates an older man or simply demonstrates any difficult emotion or behavior. What men are often at the ready to diagnose women with deep-seated unresolved issues with their fathers in a range of common circumstances. But what does the term daddy issues even mean? And more important, why are we still using it to describe women in this way? What are daddy issues?
Well, hang on, because you're talking about women. It also affects men.
And that's what we were referring to tonight, and the reason is because when I referred to the video that Sama Isadora put out there, she was referring to women as well.
Because that's what she was dealing with, her own daddy issues, and she was dealing with women.
Exactly.
So, but if in general, I found a really good article called rebelcircus.com. And they talk about 15 daddy issues that take hold on children's lives, so children meaning both genders, male and female, and the consequences that unfortunately follow from the absent father figure. So we can, talk about some of that. And one of the ones that they did talk about was, yes, the absent father. So without a dad around...
Well, hang on with that.
Okay.
I don't want to go into the styles of daddy issues yet. I want to just define it for now, and that's what I'm doing. And again, and you're right. This doesn't just apply to women. This can apply to men on a different level as well. But because again, Isadora was referring to women, I'm referring to women mostly. And we'll just break it down as best we can. But anyhow, there is a term in psychology called father complex, pioneered by Freud, and later the electra complex taken up by Jung and subsequent thinkers in the field, which describes the neuroses that result from a individual's poor relationship with their father. It was initially used almost exclusively to describe men who had fearful or distrusting relationships with their fathers, but was eventually decoupled from gender after psychologists began to more widely acknowledge that both men and women could have either positive or negative complexes. Somewhere along the line, the phrase daddy issues emerged. It borrowed loosely from the idea of a father complex, but it wasn't a formal diagnosis. It was a colloquial phrase based on pop psychology and conventional wisdom that proposed the criticization notion that women who have poor relationships with their fathers tend to develop a series of issues as a result. The term, by this point, was highly gendered, even though men are just as likely to have such issue of course. What do people mean by daddy issues? The classic conception of a woman with daddy issues is one who yearns for a protective older male figure to fill the emotional void left by her inadequate father, but who makes a series of frustrating, self-defeating mistakes in her choice of partners and her behavior due to her complex psychological problems. However, these days, the term has mutated into a form of sexist posturing in which men use it as a catch-all phrase for any social or psychological behavior they deem difficult or inconvenient to deal with women. Whenever a female has a screwed up relationship with her father or absence of a father figure during her childhood, it tends to spill into any adult relationship they embark upon. The definition is useful for demonstrating two key points about the way the term is used now. It presents men as victims of women's wild, unpredictable, and irrational moods. And number two, the behavior described need not even be linked to the woman's relationship with her father. So that's kind of the definition of what daddy issues mean. There's a third one that says, does it have anything to do with calling a guy daddy in bed? And from what let's see, wasn't able to finish that up. But what do you think? Does daddy issues signify that women call their boyfriend or their husband or their lover a daddy as well?
Well, we can bring in Mike Pence and Ronald Reagan.
Go ahead.
He's calling his wife mother, and Ronald Reagan called Nancy Reagan mommy. So what's all that about?
So it does look like it signifies that there is a tendency for women to call their daddy, their husband or boyfriend, their lover, daddy as well because of this. And though it doesn't signify that it's a direct correlation as I can understand it.
Well,
so,
again,
go ahead.
It could be a term of endearment and putting them up on the pedestal as being, like I said, their role in the family, they are mommy, they are mother, and it's a respected title. There was one TV show I was watching, and the girl was calling her boyfriend Papi, meaning is the Hispanic form for daddy.
Yeah, daddy, yeah, exactly.
And or it could be that kind of somehow little twisted part that, there's this sexual attraction to mommy, and they are fulfilling that unfulfilled sexual need to their spouse. So, like I said, we can make up all kinds of stories, and we can get into all kinds of little interpretations, but I wish I had that psychic ability that some people have to go into one healer guy I'm following. His background came from computer science, and he said he would go into like the back end and the admin level of people, and he could look at their hard drives and see all their stuff on it about their life.
Huh. So now, before I forget. I want to express and state and put it out there. I ran across all kinds of information on this, including a song. I think we're going to play it later on. I don't know if it'll come through or not, but by Demi Lovato called "Daddy Issues." But people, when I came across all this information, nowhere. Maybe one place they hinted at it, it's even that. But a lot of this stuff, a lot of these issues may actually come from other lifetimes. You might have a great relationship with your dad, but guess what? In other lifetimes, you had this obnoxious, abusive, bewildering, amazing, just out of this world type of relationship with your dad in several lifetimes. So a lot of this stuff may actually come through from other lifetimes and not just this lifetime. And some of it may just be an ongoing process from the other lifetimes, and it's continuing this lifetime. I don't know all the different scenarios, but I'm almost 100% sure that even some of this can be derived from a past life as well. But so anyhow, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and describe the signs. There's an article that's by returnofkings.com that says 5 signs a girl has daddy issues. The first one states that she's excessively slutty or harbors twisted sexual fantasies. Would you agree with that, Maha Dakini Lorae?
God. That's a hard one to say. I mean, I don't think that statement's an absolute. I could say it's maybe a possibility, or there's a probability somewhere that type of behavior could come from the negative relationship, but then it might come from an abuse outside of the family or something like that.
It could be a rape that they may have been raped or molested by other people.
Right, right. Family, another family member, or somewhere, some kid at school, or somebody somewhere else. Right. So I don't think that is an absolute.
What I want to say is these guys are saying that women with daddy issues tend to go out and be involved with older men that assumably maybe more emotionally balanced. But now this is also describing in astrology what I call an Aquarian woman, Aquarian person, Aquarian, somebody that has Aquarius in the chart, usually Venus in Aquarius. And usually women with Venus in Aquarius tend to like to go out with older men, but also with younger men. They rarely go out with men their age, believe it or not. So this is, and I'm sure that I can bet you, hundreds of dollars that most or all the women that have daddy issues have Aquarius in the chart. I can almost bet you 100%. So anyhow,
well, that would be an interesting thing to try to research and have people, if they're listening to this program either tonight or afterward, call Andrew, ask to get a astrology chart reading, or you could just get one online and then he can interpret it. Like, where is it has to be in a certain house? Is it just Venus in Aquarius, period?
Well, I think that the Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, maybe Mars in Aquarius, and maybe one or two others, but I think mostly Venus in Aquarius. But you're right. There's so much more that hasn't been researched on this. That this is still an open slate, an open book to be understood and learned about and resolved and cleared and so forth. So the other thing about this is that all this ties in and bleeds into codependency, which is another Aquarian trait. And a lot of this stuff has to do with codependency. A lot of these people that they're talking about have codependency issues, which means that they have a hard time setting boundaries. Again, they like going out with older or younger men than they are. It has to do with learning the victim hero syndrome. And one woman and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. Her name is Sima Corral. I don't know. Have you ever heard that name, Sima Corral? No. But anyhow, she comes up with some solutions, and that was one of the other things about doing this research is that these women, they cry about me, and it's okay to get that out off your chest. I don't blame them for that at all. But once you get it off your chest, then but that's also part of the healing process. You forgive and let go. So anyhow, again, with the codependency, you have the victim hero syndrome. Women like to play. You play victim to the point that you let it go and then you move on. And forgiving as part of the process, healing process, is absolutely part of that process. So anyhow, can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Is that wanting to be rescued, the victim, you keep putting yourself in that role in order to get the attention of the absent daddy or the attention of the daddy who was not. Exactly. And so you're then drawing men into your life who play the same thing. And there are men who like to rescue
be
also.
The hero. Yeah,
and if you and it may work, yeah, but it may work then in the relationship. You're always the victim and the guy who likes, to keep rescuing you. Then, but after a while, I don't know how healthy that is if you keep,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Saturating the relationship with that.
If it happens once or twice, and it could be an accident type of thing. You might not put yourself in that, but if it keeps happening over and over and over and throughout your life, then I think that's an addiction to being a victim. And is that helping? I don't think so. I really don't. It's just like anything else. I really don't think so. So you want to learn how to set boundaries. You want to learn how to communicate, how to set intentions. You want to be able to be your own hero. Save yourself. One of the girlfriends that I was involved with, I had to do that with her. Go ahead.
I said, but unfortunately, that's not how our culture is raised. We're not raised in a way for, let's say, health. meditation, pranayama, if we were taught breathing practices, if we were taught how to be still, how to meditate, a lot of our physical illnesses would be less. So the same way if we were taught how to communicate, if we were taught how to be vulnerable and open up and reveal the inner hurts and fears and shame and guilt, we would have healing and we'd have a healthier functioning society. However, people keep repeating the same patterns over and over again, and it's like a blind man who doesn't know that he can really see. He's still in the dark, and not to offend blind people, but there's it's first you have to have an awareness that this is going on, that you're repeating a pattern, and some people never wake up to the understanding that it's a pattern. And that's the tragedy, that your whole life is lived that way. But once, if somehow, somewhere, through something, a insight happens, or you read something, you hear something, you might be listening to a program, and you go, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. It's like, what's the thing about insanity? It's like you keep you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to change, but it doesn't. But once you wake up to know that you can do something different, then that creates the opening for the process to shift, for you to create another behavior. But and all of this is not instantaneous, because that old behavior has been going on for such a long time. You have to learn how to establish something else in its place. And that's where all of these things are practices. And even in therapy, people are in therapy for years and years and years to change what's going on. But I think with some of the metaphysical stuff, we can do healing.
We haven't got that far. We're going to talk about that when we get back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play this song by Demi Lovato called Daddy Issues. And I want to send out love, blessings, healing, angels of light and love to all the dads, all the fathers out there on the planet, and all the daughters and all the sons on the planet. To you, of course, Laura, Maha Dakini Lorae, and myself, our family and friends, our vehicles, places of residence that take care of us. To the President of the United States, man, I don't know what kind of daddy issues that guy's got, but he really needs to get resolved and hurry up like yesterday. So, and all his entourage, his family and friends, to all the animals and the plants and the minerals on the planet and the plants on the planet, especially the ones you concern. Anyone you want to add to that?
No, that's a pretty good list.
So let's do that. And then we're going to come back, and I want to finish defining the signs, the 5 signs that a girl has concerning daddy issues. So to everyone else, blessings of Jesus, love, and light to all those others in concern and need. We will be back. Daddy Issues by Demi Lovato from her album Tell Me You Love Me, and we will be back. I don't know if you can hear this, but hopefully you can. Oh, shoot. We may not be able to hear it. All right. You can't hear it because we're tied into the speaker system. So, all right. So let's go back to cellular attunement by Dr. Stephen Schwartz. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good. It's called Zone Number 4: Emotionally Disconnected versus Emotionally Interconnected, I believe. So we're going to play this. We will be back, and again, Zone 4 by Dr. Stephen Schwartz from his album Cellular Attunement, and we'll be back. Yeah, I think it's not very loud. Yes, so that song is not very loud, but anyhow, this is Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, the Spiritual Illness Productions on Blog Talk Radio, free conference call, and YouTube. Establishing and maintaining right relationships with human values. Tonight we're doing the Intimacy, Tantra, and Relationship Psychically Fulfilled show here with Maha Dakini Lorae out of San Francisco. Tonight we're talking about daddy issues, intimacy versus control. And that's, Psalm Isadora that's where I got the idea from her video. And even so, she really didn't go deeply into dad issues, defining them and looking at their signs and then resolving them. I think she just did a general overall overview of it. It seemed like to me, and that was about it. So again, 5 signs a girl has dad issues. One of them it has to do with sexual acting out. I believe is much better phrase than slutty tendencies, and that could be in all kinds of forms. It could be, she just goes from one guy to the next, and she never takes time to get to know herself, takes a time out to really, really understand who she is. And she just keeps jumping from relationship to relationship. It's what I'm understanding. And then another sign again, this is from returnofkings.com, 5 signs the girl has daddy issues. Another sign, it says, they state is she engages in some form of self-mutilation. She could be picking, carving out with her nails on her hands, on her hands, covering out different things on her hands. This could be what you call bulimia. I mean, this could be eating disorders. I mean, all kinds of stuff that we're talking about in self-mutilation that people may not even understand or see or know about until they actually they look at it. The obsessive nail biting, they're saying, maybe cutting their hair, cutting their face, maybe even tattoo. Obsessive tattoos all over the body. There's all kinds of stuff that could be describing. Another sign is that she's delusionally overconfident. I think maybe grandeur delusions of grandeur are probably the much better phrase for this. They want to save the world. They have a tendency of running over people. They're ungrateful, and they don't even say that they're thankful for. You might help them out with something, and they don't even say thank you. They're typically. This also is the princess, the daddy's little girl, and they're in their eyes. Daddy's the hero, daddy's God, daddy's everything, and then and daddy calls her princess every day of her life for the whole time duration that they live in the house. So it's like that. Can
I?
Go ahead.
Did you ever see the movie? I think it's called Bliss.
What's it called?
The Tantra movie, Bliss, BLISS.
I don't think so. No. I think I've heard of it, but I don't think so. Go ahead.
Terrence Stamp. Well, what I think hit me was it's this girl gets married to this guy, and she's daddy's little girl, and it turns out that the father was molesting her. And you see them going through these various stages of where they're getting together, it's fresh love and everything, and then they kind of grow apart, and then she's going to therapy. He sees her going in and out of this office, and these guys are teasing, saying, well, gee, this therapist must be a really hot guy or something. There's all these hot chicks going in there, and what's that about? And the husband sees his wife coming out, and he doesn't tell anybody, these his coworkers, and he goes to the office and wants to know, stop seeing my wife. Why is she here? He says, well, I can't tell you that, but if he says, well, then teach me what you know. I want to learn how to help my wife. And it doesn't really have a happy ending, but Charles and Jill and Muir, I believe, were kind of influential in that movie, but it's about each of their growth and the issues that, again, you bring into a marriage that if you haven't cleaned up your act, you're going to be playing them out in your relationship. Yeah. So what you were saying kind of triggered that.
Well, see, this
memory.
goes back to the Oedipus complex, the father complex, the Electra complex, where the daddy is dominating the young person, and that young person gets jealous when they go talk to mommy, and they want to get rid of mommy because then they don't have otherwise they don't have all the attention to themselves. So that's all part of that complex that they're talking about. So it's like that. So and we're going to go more into this. We still have enough time, but we're going to go more into the healing process of all this stuff. All of this. Right now, we're just identifying it, so defining it, and identifying different signs, tendencies, acting out that people have concerning all this daddy issues. Another sign is intimidated by self-assured masculine men. Oh, when a confident masculine people or guys approach these women with daddy complexes or daddy issues, and it's funny because I've especially lesbian women, I've had some difficulty with some women because of the same thing. These women get bent out of shape. They'll cry wolf. They'll play victim. I mean, all kinds of stuff because they don't want to deal with a person, a man that's confident in themselves because they're used to the abnormal type of complex that they grew up with. And in this sign it says nothing causes a woman with issues with men more anxiety than a man just acting like a man or being confident, which is why a majority of today's Tumblr-style feminists are a little more than the damaged products of poor or non-existent fathering. Girls who have an irrational fear of male sexuality, everything is creepy. Label any masculine guy pejoratively douchebag or dude bro, or who routinely pick physical fights with men are generally displaying their deep-seated resentment towards their fathers. And that I think that's one of the girlfriends that I used to be involved with. They're very revengeful. They're vengeful. They're resentive. They have a stigma against men, and men are just the devil to them. So that women with that type of acting out definitely may want to seek a therapist. I don't know, but that's one. The fifth sign that this article states says that she has body image issues or issues around. This person has body image issues or issues around food, eating disorders. It says people who supposedly know what they're talking about are constantly telling us eating disorders are all about control. That is girls who feel like they've lost control over their lives, obsessed over controlling the one thing they can control what they are and what they eat. So they this is what the intimacy versus control title in the title with Song of Zadora talks about. Women or people that have daddy issues, they have a hard time with control. So that bleeds into acting out sexually or eating or self-mutilation or relationships. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so because instead of being involved intimately with whatever capacity, with food, their body, their lover, their family, friends, whatever, they have a hard time with control, not controlling themselves or controlling their partner, and they want control over their partner because they were so used to being controlled, and that just set them off. When you finally moved out of the house or whatever. So it says I'd be shocked if anything less than 90% of the girls with eating disorders have documental daddy issues. So it's like that. And then another sign is that they have these women have penis envy. You see other, and now the three types of wounds, the father wounds, and this is by an article or a video that Saima Corral put out. She's an international spiritual healing coach. In this video called "Healing Father Wounds," she describes that there's three types of wounds, of father wounds out there. One is the absent father, either because they died, they were incarcerated, and not necessarily just absent physically, but emotionally as well, and spiritually and mentally. But these fathers were never there. They weren't emotionally there. They did not support their daughters or their sons or whatever. They abandoned them. Period. All the way around. And then another type of wound, of father wound, is an unreliable father. And the one that this one talks about states that this father is the broken promises is their middle name, literally. From one broken promise to another, they've never been able to be straight and straightforward and be honest and provide and protect their kids. They were always very unstable. Probably they were involved with lots of women, lots of females or whatever, lots of partners, and the mother was never really strong enough to put her foot down and say, "Hey, you need to get your act straight." So it was like that. And again, these women are attracted to older men. They're codependent type, and in order for them to heal, they need to become their own saviors. And then finally, I think this third one, and there was all these articles and videos that I checked out concerning daddy issues, and only 2 of them actually came up with some kind of standard to look at to see where you're at if you're even there. And the third type of father that exists out there that causes daddy issues is the abusive father, physically and emotionally abusive, possibly even spiritually or mentally as well. This is more of a deep-wounded father issue. The trauma is reenacted over and over and over throughout the person's life, in relationships and with themselves and all kinds of stuff. And I believe this also includes a rape and molestation type of thing. And so does that make sense to you, Maha Dakini Lorae?
Yeah. I definitely think a lot of fathers are, it's just looking back at the generational development. I know my father wasn't emotionally there. However, his mother died in childbirth, so when he was 5. So he never learned how to be a caring, compassionate father. I see in my sister, I chose not to have children. My older sister she had one child. She tried to have others, but that wasn't, she had lots of miscarriages. So the one son she has is really, I think he grew up to be a good kid. And he has a daughter, and I think he's really very much aware of how to be with her and to relate and to be present and to do things with. So, I think, it's a generational thing. Again, children were always like they were like animals. They were kind of there, and they were great to grow up and then have offspring from, so that the grandparents could be proud. But there wasn't that emotional and psychological interaction like that's going on these days, for the most part.
Got it. Well, there's two more things that I want to go over before we wrap this up. This Saima person, she looks like she's East Indian. I'm not sure, but anyhow, she had I believe she was a psychology major and had all these other degrees and stuff, certifications. But it shows too, because she also put forward the most cohesive, understandable presentation about daddy issues. And so she comes up with some ways to heal yourself of daddy issues. And I want to go over that. But before I do that, I want to go over one more video. It was a video that I watched by Yanni Red, and I believe she's a model. I believe what you call big model. I don't know how you call them, but you know.
Plus size. What? How do you spell her name?
Yeah. Yanni, YANIEREDD. Yanni Red. So anyhow, she and I don't really know who she is that well, but then I looked her up and come to find out she's a model. And it looks like she makes pretty good money as a model. She's pretty well out there. But anyhow, she told her story, and she I don't think she understood all the different intricacies and order of what daddy issues are and what they're all about. But she talks about her father, being on her for being overweight, and in a way that could be good because it could help her in the long run and from being obese and from being diabetic and from having a short lifetime due to health. But like she said, the way he did it wasn't very kosher, and he could have done a much better job of doing it in a better way that would be more healthy for her. And I agree. And because of that, that made her depressed. She has a hard time with intimacy. She has fears of intimacy. She has fears of being rejected, abandoned, belittled, and being vulnerable. And even though being vulnerable is actually a good trait to put out there for other people so that they can trust you and understand you and know you, she still had a hard time with that. She was physically and emotionally abused, and to her, she was saying that physical and emotional abuse were the way that her dad showed her love, how he loved her, which wasn't, again, not healthy, but it was a way. Let me see. Now the other thing about this, Maha Dakini Lorae, is that I don't think that daddy issues are something that just applies to Mexicans or Afro-Americans or Chinese or Asian people or Indian Native Americans. I don't think it just applies to any one culture or another. Now, I'm pretty sure that they apply to everybody across the board, although it's hard to say whether they're more severe with certain cultures or another. I think that's a possibility, but again, that's research that hasn't even begun yet. It's undetermined whether daddy issues are just are severe just with Mexican or Afro American people or Asians, or with Caucasian people. I don't know. I don't think there's any stats out there or even any studies about that yet. So that's besides the point. This woman, Yanni Red, had eating disorders because of all that, and she was really, really overwhelmed. I think what's the word? Just really what's the word? Just really taken, I guess, by all this, from her dad. Now, I looked at what Saima Caro, I don't know how to say your name, but Kharal was saying about healing these wounds, and we'll start with her. What do you think some of the ways are, some of the things are that you can do to heal yourself or be healed of this, Maha Dakini Lorae?
Well, I don't know much about. I've been reading. I get these articles online, and there's something called internal family system, and that might be a therapy that could start to work with those issues. That's a psychological thing. Addressing your inner child. There's a lot of that in the spiritual community. People looking at their inner child work. Questing. Maybe
like the vision quest. Is that what you're talking about?
Vision quest, yeah, something like that, or working with a shaman on with some substance that might be helpful to get out of the mental aspect, but get really to the root where you shift the energy dynamically that way.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that yet, but you said questing and what else?
And working with a shaman in doing, certain substance. Well, the inner child stuff I talked about, which is a lot of therapy works with role play. Yeah. There's some people doing therapeutic kink. And if there was some kind of, abuse going on, you can use that role play scenario and work through those dynamics and regaining your power, or working through a trauma.
What about fantasy role play or whatever?
Oh, that's part of that possible BDSM. Whatever you can. Have someone be that authority figure that you want to talk to. You could be the little girl, and they're playing your daddy.
Okay.
So you can get very creative with possibilities and look inside to see what might work for you. Or again, there's lots of ways that you can find out, like, someone may be in the counseling world, someone in the BDSM world, someone in the therapeutic realm, people doing shamanic work.
Okay. So this woman, Saima, she states that part of the healing process to undergo that would be helpful for this is, number one, is to acknowledge your feelings about all this. And I believe it's kind of similar to losing a loved one, because that's what's happening, because you're letting that person go. You grieve, you go through rage, you go through anger, you go through guilt, shame, all that stuff. And I believe the final stage is rage, is anger, and then eventually you get to forgiveness, and then once you go into forgiveness, and then you move on. But part of this is looking at your negative feelings and false conclusions about all this, and then you cut the cords and ties. You can energetically do that. You can take a knife, like what's his name, the Merlin. Merlin. You take a knife, you take his sword, and then you stake it, like, and it's an energetic thing more than a real thing. But you take that knife, and then you literally pretend like you just put it into the ground and claim back your power, claim back yourself, claim back your who you are. You can do that, and she states that you become your own hero. But even before you do that, like you said, you can do vision quest, you can do inner child type of stuff, you can do role playing, you can do therapy and shamanism, and then now there's some of the other stuff. And again, if I'm correct with this, that most or all of the people that have daddy issues, acute ones, if they all have Aquarius in the chart, and this is true, then that means these people are also very artistic and they have a great artistic ability. So if you channel those energies, you can do art and photography. You can do cooking. You can write a book. If you think you have a story that's big enough, you can just write a book about it and make it a story. And who knows? It could even become a movie. You can also video blog. And one of the things that I think I've seen with this whole research process is that a lot of these women were venting more than anything. They weren't really understanding the deep-seated version of what daddy issues are all about, but they were venting and letting it go so they can move on. And so I think that was very important for them to do, to let go of that power struggle. And it is. We're talking about a power struggle that's been going on all their life, probably, most of their life, or all of their life, and between the father and the daughter, and this daddy per se. And so, go ahead.
I was going to say, taking it a step outside of that or above it, a bigger picture is the role of women being subjugated and controlled by men, the patriarchy.
Okay. I
so it goes from that. Well, I'm just saying no, but if you look at the bigger picture, and then how that filters down into the family relationship, where then the father is controlling or the father is absent. So either one of those creates this extreme.
So if you want to become a teacher and teach us in college, you can come up with a curriculum and talk about that, and that's fine. I hear you, but right now we're talking about healing this within yourself for now. And so these are ways that people can take a step and let this go. And ultimately, like Simon said, one of the final frontiers of letting this stuff go and healing it forever and ever, amen, is to forgive. Forgive yourself and forgive all the parties involved. And so, and once you can do that, and not just say, "Oh, I forgive you," but really let it go, then that's when you're down to the final stage, and then you can move on to a good, healthier life. Now, one of the other things you could do is do hypnosis. I believe that's another therapy or a possibility that you could do that would help you overcome a lot of the stuff. And one of these women, I think it was Simon, and maybe even Yanni, I think they both said it, that it's very, if this is going on, first of all, you want to identify whether you're going through this or not. And if this is going on, you really, really want to overcome this and let this go, because it's going to affect your life, your whole life, forever and ever, and then until you do, and maybe even into your next life. Do you really want that? Is it really worth it? That's a lot of stress to deal with, put up with. I don't think so. I really don't. So now, once you and with talking to lots of people and about relationships, once you know that you've overcome the major stepping stones of all this, the major traumas of all this, you'll know, because the healthy relationship, people in, hang on a second, man, my mouth is so dry. People that are in healthy relationship, you know that you're in healthy relationship because the person or persons you're around are supportive. You're creative, you're productive, and you're always being of service. And one of the final frontiers to becoming a master, becoming a saint, is being of service to the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, mineral kingdom, people kingdom, angel kingdom, plant kingdom, or planet kingdom. I mean, all kinds of kingdoms out there. But again, when you reach the ultimate and stage of enlightenment, then your whole life is all about service. And if you and your partner are being of service, you're being supportive of each other, you're being productive, you're being creative, then you absolutely know that you're in good, healthy relationships, that's going on. And maybe there are bumps that happen here and there, and if they happen every once in a while, well, they happen every once in a while. That's part of the program a lot of times. But if those bumps, if that drama is happening constantly, regularly, every day with your partner, if you're doing drama every day with your partner, it's time to move on, or it's time to get therapy, or it's time to do something different that's going to shift all that, because that amount of stress is going to eventually be it's eventually going to produce unhealthy behavior. It's going to produce unhealthy health. Your health is going to take a toll on your health. I mean, all kinds of stuff that will happen if the drama continues. I guarantee you, 100%. If you continue to do drama with your partner, your parents, your kids, it sooner or later something's going to break down, something's going to break apart, and you're not going to like it. So it's better to be in good, healthy relationship with your family and your friends than not, because otherwise it's just not working. So if the drama's happening all the time, then it's time to make a change. And whether it be to break away from that person, take a time out for a few weeks, few months, or forever, or for the rest of the lifetime, that's undetermined. That's up to you. But either way, the overwhelming stress is not worth the time of day with anyone. And if people don't want to talk, they don't want to debate, they don't want to discuss, they don't want to understand, then maybe it's time to take a time out, like yesterday. So anything that we didn't talk about, and again, one other thing that you want to do, if you really want to heal this whole stigma, I think a good word for it is stigma in your again, if you're acting out and you know that you have the signs and you really want to heal this, then you're going to want a support system around you. Your best friends, your family should be very supportive, and you should be supporting them. It works both ways. So, and that's how you're going to overcome this. You have a good support system that will help you, support you in overcoming it. And maybe they don't have anything to do with it. They don't even have to even think about daddy issues, but they know you have them or are being with them, and they support you. And that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. People supporting you, overcoming your fears, overcoming your weaknesses, and being strong, being in your power, being a master of you. And if you can be a master of you, then the more people on this planet that can be a master of themselves, the better off we're all going to be. Not just you or your family, your friends, but everybody on the planet. So it's like that. Anything else, Maha Dakini Lorae?
Well, as you said, it's a lofty subject, and a lot of the focus was on, women, and I'm going to have to try to find that Isadora video. But, again, there's father-son that would be a whole other segment that we could explore, and the relationships, that between, again, whether there's jealousy, whether there's, the father's a bully, whether, he shows up, he's absentee, whether he is doing substance, and that's how your environment is. So you think, drinking is okay, or being drunk is okay, or being drunk and abusive is okay. you have no other understanding of the behavior of a good parent.
Now, one other thing that comes to mind of another reason, a big reason that you would want to come to terms and get along and clear the air between you and your father is because once you forgive your father, forgive yourself, then you ask your father that they bless you and they bless your career, they bless your family and friends, because your father, I believe your relationship with your father, it has a big connection to being, to your abundance, prosperity. And when you're in a good relationship with your father and your mother, but I think even more so your father with this situation, then you will be, your abundance will be much better and your prosperity will be much better, I believe. I'm pretty sure. All right. Any last words? Got 2 minutes.
No, I think everyone should maybe do a little introspection tonight, take a few deep breaths.
That reminds me.
And we have the equinox coming up too, so it's a great time for things that have been underground to start blossoming. So do your inner work and have positive things coming out for the equinox.
Another way that you can help heal your relationship with your father is to write him a letter. It doesn't matter if he's dead or alive. Write him a letter and express everything in the letter. Hey, Dad, I love you very much, blah, blah, blah. Your intentions from now on, my intentions are to be in good, healthy relationship with you. And from now on, every time you can visit me once a month, once a year, once a week. And when you do so, it has to be under the guise of right, healthy relationships. And then you take that letter, offer it up to the universe. Universe, I offer this up to you in blessing. Thank you very much, amen. And then you burn it and let it go. And let the universe support you in establishing and maintaining and sustaining a good, healthy relationship with your dad. So, again, and you can do this right away, especially with Father's Day coming up, back in May next month. So
it's June. It's Father's Day. May is Mother's Day.
Oh, is it June? All right. Well,
yeah,
you can do it with your mother first, and then you can do it with mother or your father. Thanks to all of you for stopping by. Have a God-Goddess weekend.
90 seconds.
Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.